谢谢，谢谢 Brian。接下来我们掌声欢迎 Fred 帮我们介绍 GNOME 在教育界的发展。
Thank you, Brian. Actually, I think it's a great opportunity to see people deeply involved in open source, free and open source software every once in a while, because it reminds, at least for me it works that way, it reminds you why you're doing what you're doing, and it helps to clarify doubts you can be about how a project is working, how it's organized, what their aim, and sometimes mailing lists and websites is a bit cold and far away from where you are. So I think it's great that Brian came to Asia. I think it's a big success. We got all cheated by Emily actually 3 years ago after Guadec, who pushed us to organize GNOME.Asia. So here we are now. I have to say I'm a sponsored speaker as well. The GNOME Foundation is paying for my travel to come here. They also paid last year. They didn't have to pay in Beijing because I was living in Beijing. So I'm going to talk about GNOME in education. And something that we are doing in China, in mainland. I think this is a big subject, big topic. Education is a big topic. Free software in education is also a big topic. And GNOME is as well a big topic. So as Brian was mentioning, Sugar is using GNOME technology. I am not familiar with Sugar. I don't use Sugar in China. So I will not cover that part. You have to understand that what I'm saying is just what works for us in China with the school we work with. There are many ways to do the same thing. So it's not something to take as a Bible. It's more something from somebody with one experience somewhere. And maybe you can pick some of these, but maybe some will not work for you. Okay, so why? Well, the first question is why should children have computers? Why? Actually, they've been learning with books, and it's been working fine so far. I think one of the reasons is that IT and IT has a very, very big scope, is used everywhere in professional life, even in homes, in your private life, in mobile phones. So since school is supposed to prepare children for their life to come, obviously you need to prepare them to use IT, web technology, desktop technology, mobile phone technology, to make them understand the danger of the internet, what is privacy, what they have to be aware of, what they have to be careful of, how to use a computer, how to use it as a tool, how to use it as an expression medium. There are really, really a lot of things to teach children about computers. And you can, I was forgetting the simulation part. You can also use computer in a classroom to access to things that a class doesn't have, like electronic microscope, like some physical experiment where you can't get the device or the machine in the classroom because it's too big or it's too expensive. There are really a lot of things, a lot of reasons why you could use computers as a simulation tool as well. So now this slide is about what you can do with a computer. Well, some of the things you can do with a computer. I put this slide because I want to remind people IT is not Microsoft Office plus a bit of Visual Basic. I don't know if we have any teacher here, but in China I face this all the time. IT equal Word. Sometimes Excel, when you're lucky. And then when you're really not lucky, you have Visual Basic. So this is really this that you have to keep in mind when you talk with teachers. If you're interested to talk to teachers, you have to show them why it's important. It's really, it's a tough battle. So now why free software is important? I think there are really a lot of reasons, but education is something offered by your country to make your own people better. It's really a community service in some way. Free software is also a community service. You're building a software, how do you say that? A software pot, something that you can share among your community. So it really works in pair, actually. It has the same goal in some way. Though we were talking this morning with Brian, and we say, well, some, like private companies don't like the idea of people thinking too much. Some governments might not like the idea of people, being able to do what they want. But there's a lot of politics and conflicts with education and with free software. I think some of the reason is also the cost. Free software usually come with no licensing fee, which is not the case of proprietary software. Though private companies like Microsoft tend to give the software for free to schools, and then when you graduate, then you have to pay for it. It's a bit like drug dealers do that also. They give you the first shoot for free, and then after you need to pay. So the real question is why should we teach our kids using technology that belongs to a company, not using technology that belongs to the community itself? Some people can answer this question. I think there is no right answer for this. And by the way, here I left this. I think the answer is they care about shareholders. They don't care about you. Well, unless you're a shareholder, of course. Okay, so oh yeah, that's the second slide about FOSS education. Then this is, but I think we have a lot of GNOME user. So free software is really about the four freedom, using it the way you want, learning from it, so having access to the source code and being able to understand how software works. So enabling your student to also make software if they want, or make it do what they want. A bit like Legos, for example. Yes, you have a question? Oh no, I thought you, sorry. Sharing it with your students. Basically, if you have a class with using a particular software, you can actually give it to your kids and they can use it at home, which is something you're not supposed to do with proprietary software neither. And also sharing the improved version, which means that the school, a district, a region can actually build on free software, make a customized version of something they like, that they need for their school, maybe their own language, maybe, and give it to their children. Just to tell you an idea, for example, in Cambodia, Microsoft Windows is quite a popular operating system. Well, they think Cambodia is a too small market. So there is no Microsoft Windows version in Cambodian language. Well, Linux is available in Cambodian because it's free software, so the community was able to translate it, localize, and they can distribute it. So in fact, if you're Cambodian and you don't speak or read English, you have free software, luckily. Because if you were waiting for Microsoft, I think you can wait another 5 or 10 years before you have your own language on your computer. That's just an example. And the other important thing, I think free software covers a lot of fields, and they are all free software. And also you have a lot more, I guess you've heard, open hardware project that extend the idea of free software to hardware devices, to empower people to build stuff based on other stuff that have been built already. So you can really, I mean, I guess you're familiar with the RepRap project, which is a 3D printer, so you can print objects. And the printer is supposed to replicate itself, so basically with a 3D printer you can print another printer and give it to people. Well, the cost is still about, I think it's about $300, $400 US. But all these things are possible thanks to free software. And I think they belong to education because you can teach children to understand how also physical object works, how mechanical stuff works, how electronic works, how software works. It's really giving them tool for their professional life later, rather than just buy. Okay, so GNOME, there is a GNOME education suite. I think the project, I was starting to have a discussion actually with the GNOME Foundation about the status of the project. There is 20 applications. I think there is a bit more than that. But basically today, using GTK libraries, you can do early age computing. So this is covered by J'ai Compris, which is an application for children from 2 to 10-year-old. It covers typing, discovering the mouse, so being familiar with the computer. Covers math, some basic science, electricity, understanding nature, winds, sea. So you really have already a lot of application just with one application. Then you have touch typing. Touch typing is how to type correctly, not with just one finger. Music, you have exam management for teachers. You have several applications to learn foreign languages. Some programming, memorizing, mapping. I think there is also word processing, because you'll have teachers who want to do, to prepare secretaries. So it's very important to have that for them. And you have, I found a few more actually last night. So I think the page is going to modify. I was talking with Stormy. I'd like to maybe get the project a bit more formalized. I don't want to compete with Sugar, but I think we can put up something, maybe do a meta package so people can get the things. I also believe, and that's part of our approach. I also believe that bringing FOSS to education is more than just giving a few software.
You never have too many educational applications.
Yeah, but you need, well, exactly. Anyway, you need a lot more. So Greenboard is the name of the project that we manage in China. We believe it's better to start from the start. So start from the start is to start at primary school or secondary school. Well, I've been involved in free software in China for a few years. We work a lot with the Chinese government. And today, the Chinese government is trying to push free software at the university level. I think this is too late, actually. The kids already have bad habits. Teachers have no idea what is free software. So you're trying to convince 16, 18, 20-year-old people who have teachers who have no idea what free software is and who couldn't care less. So and this is a time where exams are really important. Actually, they don't have so much spare time. So there's really a conflict of interest to get students to start to use free software, especially if they've been trained using proprietary software. So it's better to start earlier. We can find also GNOME, in GNOME application, everything we need. And I've been talking about that. We focus on not only doing secretary job, we rather focus on self-expression, so teaching drawing application, which is good for this age. Typing is good. Learning basic words of English. We're talking about China, so English is quite popular. Everybody would like to speak English. and we come to school with a yearly plan, or half a year, 6 months at least. So when we talk to teachers, we have something to show. It's not like, okay, use this software and good luck. It's more, okay, this is the methodology, this is the classes that we have, this is what you're going to teach, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 10, so they know where they're going. The way we set up the class or the different elements from our project, basically we donate the PCs, or almost donate. We get them from where we had companies pay for classes. We've had embassies or company giving us old machines that we refurbish and give them to class with GNOME installed on it, or GNOME elements installed on it. We usually ask the school also to pay for something. We found out, because we've been doing that actually since 2003, that when you give things and people don't pay, actually they don't really care. We've had schools that actually use our donation to get new PCs from another organization for free, and then they put all our computers in the garbage. We had a lot of failures, and we learned from it, I guess. Well, not so many failures, but so we asked them to pay a little bit of money. When the school pays money, then they care about their investment because they have to justify it. If it's free, they don't have any justification. Anyway, we didn't pay for it. So there is, well, in China, we don't have internet in the schools. The school we work with, there is no internet. I think internet technologies are very important for children to know. In China, we focus only on schools that don't have money. Actually, they're almost illegal schools. So we're talking about migrant worker children, and most likely for them, the professional life will start very soon, probably when they're 14. So you want to give them all the skills they can, so when they work somewhere, say, oh, I know how to use a computer, I can send email, I can write a document, and they understand the basic concept of what a computer is and what other things they can do with a computer. So we set up a local internet, well, an intranet somehow, with web services, so they can send email locally, they can do blogging locally, they can do some kind of web search locally. We use wikis for content. It's a work in progress. So we're as I talk now, we're developing things, we're installing things. But basically, that's the concept. So there's a server that runs these services. There is another machine to control the computers, because if you're a teacher and then suddenly your 30 kids have a screen in front of them, you don't know what they're doing. So we use also free software to control these machines, so the teacher can block the machine, talk, and then access the machine. We're using iTalk, which is actually, I think, a Qt library application, but that's what we found. We make our own operating system at the moment. So basically, we have a suite of programs. We've been a bit struggling. We used to outsource that. Initially, we tried with the Ubuntu software, but it was too heavy for the computer we use. Then we had Mandriva doing an image for us that we customize with better Chinese support. And then we have stopped because it was too much work. They wouldn't take our changes upstream, and every time there was a release, we would have to spend too much time on fixing the bugs and check what they forgot, what they put. So now we have our own OS with the application, which is actually right now an Ubuntu meta package. So you install from the Ubuntu alternate disk with no desktop environment, and then there's just one line of command to install, and it will download the right packages. And we have an online portal where because the next step is that actually teacher contribute to make the courses themselves. It's also, this is also always a chicken and egg problem. You come and you say, well, I have all this application, and teachers say, okay, what do you have any courses for me? Do you have exercises? Let's not lie. They work, and teachers don't. Very few teachers actually are willing to make the extra step to make better classes or better courses. I've had teachers who have done the same course for 30 years. So you have to help them. So that's why we make the classes at the beginning. In our tutorials, we have tutorials for teachers to contribute content, and we hope that we can build a teacher community that will contribute content to all the schools. So by having 2-3 schools, hopefully we can have enough schools that generate content so we don't have to do it by ourselves. So this is what we use at the moment. So I talk about iTalk, I talk about J'ai Compris. RUPL is a project to teach Python. I'm maintainer of the project, actually. It's using PyGTK libraries. It comes with 48 lessons. I don't think every kid should be a developer, but I think programming brings problem-solving abilities, and I think it's good to show as much as possible. It's a bit the same like if you show a graphic design application or a simple drawing application, not every kid in your classroom is going to be Van Gogh. But by looking at what they do, and we've seen it, some kids will do really nice things out of nothing. It's amazing. They are like 6, 7, 8. They draw better than me because they have the skill for it. and some will be better at programming. And I think that's what, that's the teacher's job, to be able to identify what kind of skills they have in the classroom to help the kids for his future life. So the more diversity you give in the application, the better the teacher can do his job. If you do only word processing, it's going to be very limiting. We use Linux letters and numbers, which is also a GTK application. It helps you to recognize the keyboard, and actually when you press the key, it speaks in, well, you can customize the application to say whatever word you want in English. So right now we use English, and they can see the picture of whatever you show, and it's spoken in English. So we use that to start to practice listening skills in English. And we use the Tux for Kid package for tux typing. It's a bit nicer than Clavario. I forgot the name. GNOME Education Suite has a touch typing application as well, but it's more, I would say it's a bit more for like 10-year-olds and above. It's not so fancy, where the tux typing application is more like a game, like you have a spaceship that comes down, an alien, and you have to shoot them by typing on the keys. So it works much better with younger audience. That's also something about education, where even the same topic, whether you teach it to kids at 8, let's say, or 12, or 18, you'll need completely different UI and exercises to attract your audience. So that's what we're using. And we've been doing that quite successfully now for 2 years with this application. So the thing we've learned, I've covered some of it. I think another very important thing is to identify the right school. This is really, you don't want to waste time on a school that doesn't care. And sometimes it's really hard to know. We've started some project, and then 2 months later there was no more teachers because they all resigned. So you spend 2 months volunteering time, going weekends or nighttime during the week, and the people you taught just disappeared. And that's it. And nobody is using the computer class anymore. Don't install without training. This is not helping. If you want to help FOSS in education, don't go install Linux and disappear. That doesn't work. Explain the philosophy of free software. This is something for me I found in China works very well. Explain that free software is free as in libre, not free as beer. I think that especially in third world country where everybody can get Windows for free, so somehow Windows is free software in the other way, it's very important to explain the freedom of sharing and the freedom of contributing. This is something that has been working very well for us, at least. Much better than say, oh, you don't have to pay for it. The same, we teach teachers. I'm not a teacher, but I can talk to a teacher because he's an adult, like I am, or I believe I am. If you teach kids, you do yourself one class, and that's it. If you teach a teacher, the teacher is going to see a lot of classes during his whole life and teach thousands of kids. So I think it's a lot better. The same, if you bring a device like a computer in a classroom where the teacher doesn't know, the kids, especially when they're 8-year-old, are going to learn 10 to 20 times faster than the teacher. And the teacher will lose face and will never want to use a computer anymore. So it's better to give a head start to the teacher, so he doesn't look stupid in front of the computer, and he's still in control of his classroom. And the last point also is to come with printable teaching. I don't like to print on paper. I don't like to print, actually. But it's good that they have something, because this is how they work. They like to have books. They like to see in advance. They like paper. This is a factor of the industry. So be ready to print something. Microsoft in China, they give free books of Office training, so Excel, Word, all their application suite. So this is something also you have to compete with. How did we actually get those schools? So we did roadshow. We went to schools during weekends with a projector. We make appointment. We call them. We show them what is free software. We show them the shiny things. We explained with very simple words. So I say simple English because simple English is actually one kind of English. We use Chinese, not English. Just they probably wouldn't have understand English. And we explained our motivation. They knew we were a volunteer, and I think that also has an impact in some ways. Or at least you attract one kind of people that are willing to suffer a little bit if something is not ready. I think it's a better approach to say, oh, it's all very professional, it's all finished, so then you set up the expectation very high, and if something doesn't work, and suddenly they're disappointed. So setting expectation is very important. We showed a few stuff with free software, what you can do. We showed the Blender movie, not that it's related directly with education or we're using it, but I think it takes 10 minutes, it's high catchy, and they're all like, oh, fascinated by the thing. So it works quite well. Talk to the headmaster, he's the guy in charge, get his commitment. He's the one who's going to say, hey, you, work with them. Without the higher level, especially in China, committed, you get nowhere. And get them to commit to 1 hour, 2 hours. 1 hour is not enough. 2 to 4 hours a week at least. How we are doing now? We've evolved a little bit with using partners, other non-profit organizations to help us. So now we have CMC, which means I forgot the exact name. I have it. Care. I think it's care. Oh, let me check. I'll tell you exactly what it means. Sorry. Compassion for migrant children. Okay, so they're the one with the contact with the school. So now they're telling us which school will be good to work with us. So we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to spend weekends with a projector meeting many schools. I remember we used to meet like two or three schools per day on Saturday and sometimes some on Sunday. We would go to school and then they say, oh, no electricity today. You can't use the computers. So Greenboard, we manage the deployment, the support, the training, the courses. LEAD is another organization that helps with after-school teaching also around Beijing, and they help us with installation. We hope, because they're not really focusing on IT, we hope still that they will help us to teach teachers in the future, especially because they prefer to teach kids. So the same, it's a volunteer organization, and those volunteers seems to be, well, they find it a lot more fun to teach to a bunch of kids than to teach to teachers that don't necessarily listen. So, volunteer is always something difficult to manage. I'm a volunteer. I know I'm not easy to manage. So we have a training schedule. We pick. If you have only one teacher committed, the risk is that the teacher might be sick, the teacher might disappear. It's making your project very dangerous. Don't rely on only one. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket, basically. Be patient. We've had time where we went there and then the teacher is not available because he had another meeting and he didn't tell us, or this is the kind of thing that happens. It's tough because you go by yourself and for nothing. We first teach the teachers alone. So we have the teachers in a group and then we show them how it works. And it takes about, 4 sessions, I would say, before you can get their classroom, into the class with them and have them start to show to kids, to give you an idea. So a teacher session is about, it's not here, is about 2 hours, right? So it takes about 8 hours to get teachers ready. And you hope that those 3 teachers that you have with you will talk with the other teachers, or the other teachers will get curious and come and ask you questions. That's when you feel you're winning the school. So I moved out of Beijing in April. The school we were working with for about a year got demolished in March, unfortunately. So the headmaster is trying to find a new location. He still has the equipment. Hopefully they will start again. We're having 200 well, new old PC given to us that we're installing at the moment in 2 schools around Beijing. We have very limited amount of memory. Some PCs actually we don't even install Linux because only I think Windows 98 or Windows Millennium, like some old version of Windows work on it because they have 64 meg of RAM. And so we don't waste our time to try to make, well, we did waste our time, it didn't work. So our applications are actually cross-platform. J'ai compris works on a PC, RuPaul works on a PC, on a Windows PC. So we use Windows and we put our application there. The courses, the UI is the same, the courses is the same. There are battles that are not worth fighting. You know, the hardware is only 64 meg of RAM. Well, we live with it. And we have about 6-7 people from Greenboard working on this at the moment. We hope to have more classes to support more application. I think today we have more application than classes. Hopefully we'll have, at one point we'll be able to level up. We want to improve also the web classes. I think that's something very important for the reason I mentioned before. And then the fun thing, I think, the thing that also are very, for kids are very attractive. OpenStreetMap, I guess you know what is OpenStreetMap. It's an equivalent of Google Maps, but it's a community-based project. So you can have a school go out and map the area around the school. They just need one mobile phone with GPS, and then they can spend weeks working on map concept, north, east, what is a big stroll, a small pass, how to use the software, and teach them that the map, their region is actually their own work, and everybody in the world is going to look at their work. So I think it's good to start this with kids because they will feel pride in the work they've done, and they've done something that professional people use every day. For an 8-year-old, I think it's quite a big impact. So that's something I like to get also going at one point. The 3D printer is also something quite exciting. Especially for post-school, because then they could print, coat hanger if they don't have any. They could fix stuff by themselves, and there's all the mechanical and electronic part that is also fun. A lot of work to get this. And then, get a few more schools as well, so we get more feedback, more content. Since we're in Taiwan, I'm a bit thirsty. I guess you can read the slide, but I'll be happy if somebody's interested, know a school, and say, let's do this together. All our content is in Chinese already, simplified Chinese, so the translation from simplified to traditional is not that hard. We have a team member in Greenboard that actually write traditional Chinese, even though it's Cantonese. It would be not so much work. You need to find PCs. Maybe the school has PCs already. If the teachers are quite progressive, you might convince them. We had the case in China, in Qingdao, where we had a rich school that was willing to try, but it was too far from us, so we couldn't support it. So you need to be 3-4 people, motivated, and have a lot of free time. I'm here, actually. So if you want to come, that's it. No question? They should run and say, yeah, we want to start, no? They're not moving. You think it's real people or? Yeah?
大家对Fred的演讲有没有什么问题想要问的？Fred, I have one question. How we know that children really like free software?
Well, children like what you show them in an exciting way, I think. Yes, if you have a teacher that is very charismatic and has fun, they will like whatever it is. I like mathematics because my mathematics teacher thought it was great. And I've met other kids who said they never liked math because their teacher sucked at it. It was not fun. So it's really up to the teacher to inspire people.
Okay, thank you.
You see the light in my eyes?
Yeah, okay, I know that. OK， 大家还有没有什么问题想要问 Fred 的？ OK， 如果大家没有什么问题的话，我们今天上午的议程到这边结束，谢谢大家。
I'm actually here for 2 days, so if today you're not sure, but you want to talk with someone and come to me with 3-4 people, I'll be here around today, tomorrow. So please do, and otherwise I can give you my email address or anything. Thank you.